hold up, I am on my way. I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing? In Christmas times, we'll be chilling and having a good time. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows and the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the sand. You ready? Doesn't matter, it is Christmas in my heart. And I can promise Santa's coming to visit. No, he wouldn't miss this in Christmas times. Oh, and the sun said it is just getting better on a blanket with the skyline painted in blue. Ooh, yeah, that's what we do. We'll be chilling and having a good time. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows and the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the sand. You ready? Doesn't matter, it is Christmas in my heart. Here we go. All right. Dance, dance, now this Christmas, we're gonna dance. We're gonna dance, 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 come on. Dance. We're gonna dance, dance, have a good time. Dance, dance, all night long. We're gonna dance, dance, and have a good time. I think Santa's gonna come and join us in this song. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows and the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the sand. You ready? Doesn't matter, it is Christmas in my heart.
Good evening, everybody. It's John here from Tutor to You, welcoming you along to another of our A-Level Economics live streams. We've got a special for you tonight. We've been doing these live streams for a number of weeks now, and it's been great to see so many people get involved and give us their responses. So we thought we'd do a special, and we'll start Christmas off tonight by having a festive version of our economics live stream. So what we've got for you is similar format to usual, which is a number of really quick questions, most of which will just require one letter answer or one word answer, and we would like to see your responses in the chat window, if you will, please. But tonight the questions are going to have a little bit of a Christmas spin on them. Not too much of a Christmas spin. We'll try and keep it as much to economics as we possibly can, but that's the plan. I'm joined tonight by Penny. Good evening, Penny.
Good evening, John. Nice to see you.
Good to see you too. All ready for Christmas, Penny? Have you got all of your shopping done?
No, but I'm getting there, and I've still got nearly 2 weeks to go after all.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of time. Right, we'll get started, shall we? We'll put the PowerPoint on screen. So a quick reminder to you that the PowerPoint that we're using tonight will be available for you to download as soon as this live stream finishes, and of course this is being recorded as well, so you can always watch it again. Right, we have got 17 questions for you. 17 questions. So the challenge for you tonight is how many of them can you get correct. So give yourself a score out of 17 by the end of the quiz. Some are going to be very quick, some will take a little bit longer. We're going to start though with some multi-choice questions. So usual format with multi-choice questions, one question, four possible answers. Only one of them's correct, and that's an important thing to remember because it's slightly different to round 2. So here we go. Here is your very first question. Here's your first question. A little bit of music in the background there, if you can hear that as well. Which of the following is most likely to shift the short-run aggregate supply curve of Lapland's economy to the right? We said we were going to try and make it have a bit of a Christmas theme tonight. So there we go. There's our first mention of Lapland. I think that's coming up a few times tonight. So what you've got to think about here, of course, is your SRAS curve. I can see one or two answers coming into the chat window as we get going. So which of them of those will shift the aggregate supply curve? And then you've got to have a think to which way they're going to shift them, to the left or to the right. Shout out to Toby, who's the first one with answer A. Joshua has come in with answer A as well. Shalia has come in with A as well. You're all going with answer A. Shall we have a quick look at the correct answer? Here we go. You are absolutely right. Thank you as well to CTO, who's come in with A as well. So yes, surely a rise in labour flexibility will mean that our output will be better at every level, it will be cheaper at every level, as it were. That's what's causing our SRAS to shift to the right. B and C will probably shift the SRAS to the left, and D is more likely to have an impact upon the short run, the aggregate demand curve. Right, brilliant. Okay, let's go on to question number 2. Have a look at this one. There's Lapland again for us. In 2022, Lapland's potential GDP was 210 billion euros per year. Its actual GDP was 225 billion euros. The difference between the potential and actual GDP is what? Now, this is one of those standard multi-choice questions. Yes, we've thrown Lapland in there to make it a little bit more festive, but basically it's testing your understanding of the terminology that are in the answers. So you need to work out which terminology is applying to the question, and then go from there in terms of getting a more consistent answer. So let's have a look again. Toby's come in with B, Shirley's come in with B, Joshua with B, CTO with B, Daniela B, Sebastian, you've also come in with B. Let's have a quick look at the answer. I think you're all absolutely right. Well done for that. Like I say, it is a definitions question, this one. We need to work out, if you just read that first sentence, you can tell immediately that it's about an output gap. The fact that our actual is greater than our potential means that we have a positive output gap. Well done. Right, here we go for question 3 out of 4. In 2023, Santa's Owls received a pay increase of 10%. Over the same time period, the RPI rose by 10 points to 510. Index numbers are numbers, not a percentage. I must remember that one. It can be concluded that real wages have done what? Now, have a go at this question. The first look at this question, it looks like you've got to do some proper number crunching, but actually you don't need to do too much in way of number crunching here. You have to understand what it means for an RPI to go up by X number of points. You have to understand what the term real means, and the fact that real wages is applying something to do with inflation. You don't need to necessarily actually be able to work out the fully correct answer. So I'm going to let one or two people come in here. Apologies if I've missed you as you've been typing your answers in here. There's 2 on there. I'm just going to wait for 1 or 2 answers to come in. There's 2 on there that I would immediately dismiss, that I would know. Actually, 3 of them. You could dismiss 3 immediately. If you know what real wages are, then you can dismiss 3 pretty much straight away. Shalea's gone with A, but she's not quite sure. Sebastian's gone with A. Daniela's gone with A as well. That's an interesting one. This interesting one. I said you didn't need to do any maths. I was suggesting this one's a quite straightforward one, where perhaps I'm going to give you a clue. A is not the correct answer. A is not the correct answer. So I'll give people 1 or 2 more moments to have a think about this. You don't need to really do the numbers. You don't really need to do the numbers. This could be, if you were doing Excel, for example, they could ask this question as a short answer question where you'd have to make the calculation. But if it comes as a multi-choice question like this, actually you don't need to. CTO's come in with D. Shalea's come back in with C. I'm going to put you out of your misery here. It is D. Well done to CTO for getting the correct answer of that one. Let's have a think about this one. So we know that prices have risen because they've gone up from 500 to 510. So there's been an increase. A very quick little calculation in your head. 10 as a percentage of 500 is 2%. Pay increase has been 10%, but real prices have gone up. Real prices have gone up. So we know that real pay, I should say, real pay can't be by 10%. It can't be by 10%. So we know that it can't be it can't be unchanged because the prices have gone up. We know that it can't be exactly 10% because we've got a real price increase. So it is close to 8%. If you actually do the calculations, it works out, I think it's about 7.8%, so very close to 8%. Tricky one to get you thinking about it there. Very common style of exam multi-choice question of that one, where again, it's a test, isn't it? It's a test of what do you understand by the term real and what do you understand by an index. Last multi-choice question for you before I hand over to Penny. Nice, straightforward one. I'm hoping for the last of the multi-choice questions here. In 2023, Santa had to close a number of workshops due to a global economic downturn, with many elves being made unemployed. It's a sad, sad story at Christmas time. Which type of unemployment has occurred? Have a think about that one. Again, it's a definition question. Do you know what those 4 different types of unemployment are and which one applies to the question put in place? Joshua's coming with D, Sebastian's coming with D, Toby D, Daniela D, Shalia I think is coming with D, Alfie is coming I think for the first time tonight with D as well. You're all going cycle, and of course it is cyclical. I wanted it to be seasonal. It is the season to be seasonal, as it were, but it isn't. You're absolutely right. If we're seeing a general downturn in the economy, then we know it's going to be cyclical. Brilliant stuff. Well done to you. I'll hand over to Penny. We're going to have a go at the bauble. Oh, sorry, Penny. Let's put that in there. We're going to have a go at the bauble quiz.
Okay, great. Thank you. So round 2. So those of you who regular watchers and listeners of these live stream quizzes will be familiar with the bubble quiz. Well, this is the Christmas version. We're calling it the bauble quiz. So we're going to give you a question with 4 possible answers, just like in multiple choice. But the difference here is that it may be that none of them are correct, or it could be all 4 of them that are correct, or it could be anything between. It could be 1, 2, or 3 that are correct. Let's have a look at the first question. Okay, so here's your question. Which of these 4 options might be considered examples of market failures in Lapland? So a bit of application for you there. The context is Lapland. Which of these might be considered examples of market failures? Is it A, the felling of pine trees to be sold for Christmas? B, we've got a monopoly of toy workshops owned by Santa. C, we've got an increase in damage caused by litter dropped by tourists, all those tourists heading off to Lapland for their Christmas visits. Or D, an increase in the use of machinery in toy workshops at the expense of employment of elves, I should say. So it could be all 4 of them. It could be none of them, or it could be that it's 1 or 2 of them. What do you think? So we have got, apologies if I didn't pick up when you started putting your answers in. I think maybe the first one up here was CTO saying B. Alfie says B. Toby says B and A and C. Joshua says B, C, and D. Sebastian says B and C. Lots of differences of opinion here. Let's have a look at the correct answers, John. If you can put up the 3 correct ones. So we reckon A, B, and C could all be examples of market failure. The felling of pine trees to be sold for Christmas has potentially got negative externalities. You know, maybe the loss of carbon capture because of all those trees being cut down, or we could look at the waste of the trees as a natural resource if they don't get recycled properly after Christmas. Okay, and then the second one, the monopoly of toy workshops, which are owned by Santa, means he's got monopoly power. So, you know, because of a lack of competition. So that could be a problem and a market failure. How about C, an increase in damage caused by litter dropped by tourists? Well, clearly there's a negative externality of pollution potentially there. So those 3 we would go with. The increase in use of machinery in toy workshops at the expense of employment of elves. I mean, that's not great for the elves that lose their job, but that's not actually a market failure. That's more to do with actually an improvement in efficiency as you move from labour intensive to capital intensive production. Great. Okay, let's have a look at the second one. See if we we can get you with this one. So, second question, which of the following are examples of government regulation? So we're staying in that sort of area of microeconomics. Which are examples of government regulation in Lapland, which is intended to correct a market failure? So again, you've got all possible answers. Now, could be that all of them are wrong, could be all of them are right, could be any mix of that, of the four of them. What do you think? You have a look through. I don't need to read them all out to you. You can see what's there. We've got something about a regulator. We've got something about a new law. We've got something about tax thresholds, and we've got something about restrictions of airline flights. Okay, so Joshua is there with A, B, and D, but thinks maybe not C. Shalea says all four of them. CTO also says all four. Alfie says A, B, and D. Toby says A and D. Great to see so many answers coming through. Keep the answers coming. Thanks very much. Let's have a look at what we reckoned would be the answers here. So we're going for A and B and D. Let's just have a look at those three. Well, A, the creation of the regulator to ensure Santa does not set high prices for toys. Now, what we're looking at here is overcoming that market failure of monopoly power, of Santa owning all of the toy workshops. So that could be the intention of that government regulation. Okay. The new law banning elves under the age of 18 from using sunbeds is clearly a government regulation. And the market failure here might be down to lack of information failure for those poor elves. Obviously, they don't get to see too much sunshine in the winter up there in Lapland, so they might go and use some sunbeds, but not maybe understanding, not being aware of the damage they might be causing to their skin as a result. And then D, well, D is obviously aiming at negative externalities of maybe pollution, noise pollution of airline flights over Lapland at night. So again, that's a government regulation designed to correct that market failure. Whereas C, the increase in tax thresholds that will benefit low-paid elves, that's actually sort of rather, it's an example of fiscal policy. Okay, so let's have a look at the third one. Which of the following might be disadvantages of a government subsidy scheme implemented by the government of Lapland to toy producers? So maybe what they want to do, well, we'll talk maybe afterwards, after you've had a think about why they might be doing that. So which of the following might be disadvantages of that government subsidy scheme to pay subsidies to toy producers in Lapland? What do you think? Again, you've got four options available, but it may be none of them, could be all of them, or any number in between. So what's coming up as your possible answers here? You've got four to have a look at and have a think about. We've had some great answers coming through so far. So Joshua is saying maybe A, B, and D. Sky is saying all four. CTO, B, A, and C. Okay, any other suggestions? Toby saying B and D. Shalea saying A, B, and D. Let's have a look at the correct answer. What we're going for here is indeed all four of them. So any of those suggestions that you were making are correct, but the people who had the best answer here were the ones who identified that all four of these could be disadvantages of that subsidy scheme. So let's just have a look at all of them. The government subsidies for A, government subsidies carry an opportunity cost, such as reduced funding of Elvish schools, because the government funding is a limited resource. It's a scarce resource. So if they take some away, in order to give more funding to subsidies for the toy producers, they have maybe got to take the funding away from somewhere else. Okay, subsidy can artificially protect inefficient toy making workshops, and that could be a disadvantage because what it means is that they don't have to really make efforts to be as efficient as possible to allocate their resources efficiently. So we have potentially got some government failure there. For C, subsidies could lead to an overproduction of plastics toys, which, that again is going to sort of maybe create more negative externalities. If you've been watching any kind of news about the effect of plastics in the oceans, then you'll know that that's something that environmentalists really worry about. And then finally, the final cost of a subsidy falls on tax-paying elves who themselves may have derived little benefit. So those elves who are not necessarily working in toy production in that industry are still going to be paying this extra tax, but they're not going to get any benefit from it themselves. So that's a potential disadvantage as well. Okay, one more bauble quiz question for you. Okay, so Santa is in control of the Lapland economy, and he's converted it to a command style economy. So which of these are advantages of a command style economy? Low levels of competition in the toy workshops. You've got the common good replacing profit as the primary incentive of production. You've got low levels of unemployment among the reindeers. Again, some good context for you there. Low levels of inequality among the elves. Which of those are the advantages of a command style economy? So we're just checking out how well you understand what a command style economy means. Sheila says B. Okay. So she's looking at the common good replacing profit as the primary incentive of production. And apologies, I mispronounced your name again. I think it should be Shalea. Sky is going for B, D, and C. Alfie's going for B for the same ones, B, D, and C. Anyone else want to have a go at these? What do you think are the advantages of a command style economy? Think back to your definitions. Think about learning about the different types of economy. And let's have a look at what we reckon are the correct answers. And we are going to go for B, C, and D. Well done. Okay, so the common good in B is going to be to the benefit of everyone. So that's the primary incentive of production, which is obviously an advantage for everybody in that economy. Low levels of unemployment among the reindeers. Well, great. This could create jobs. That's the whole point of a command style economy, really, is that you can create jobs where maybe the market economy wouldn't create them. And that could also add to reducing levels of inequality among the elves. Maybe you would have something like a universal basic income that would be paid to everybody in a command style economy. Just low levels of competition among toy workshops. That's a disadvantage of the command style economy. So there's no incentive to be more efficient. You haven't got the profit incentive. Well done if you got 4 out of 4 on those. There were some tricky questions in there to pick out all the correct answers.
Thanks, Penny. Yes, okay, so round 3 now. I don't know how well you're doing. We're seeing some good answers coming through, so hopefully you're getting a good proportion of them correct tonight. This next round, we've got 3 questions for you here. Very straightforward. Are the statements that are made at the top of the screen true, or are they false? So we're going into some real world economics for this one. So what do you know about what's going on in the real world here? So let's have a look at this first one. The UK's forecast is to spend the most on Christmas gifts and festivities in all of Europe. In all of Europe. I don't know why I've put all of the Europe. All of Europe is the question. Do you think that the UK is more likely to spend, their consumers in the UK are more likely to spend money on Christmas gifts and festivities than other countries? It's an interesting question, isn't it? And if we think about economics, what we're talking about is demand, and we're talking about demand being slightly different in different countries. And the question is whether we think the UK is different in one way compared to another. Alfie came in with true. Alfie thinks it's true, as does Joshua. Daniela, not quite sure. Daniela said maybe true. So Daniela's gone to thinking that it could be there. Alfie says UK consumerism is out of control. That's one of those phrases, of course, you wouldn't use in an exam, would you, Alfie? You'd explain what you meant about that. Toby's the first one to come in with a false, suggesting that actually maybe there's another country who spends more. Toby, can you give me a country that you think might spend more than UK consumers? That would be an interesting one to see what you think that is. Let's give people 1 or 2 more moments to have a little think about that one. And I will now reveal the answer before Toby's had a chance to reply to my question. Here we go. It is actually true, Toby, so don't bother replying. Oh, he came in. Maybe France or Germany. Toby, for your benefit, Germany would be second on the list and France would be third. So you're wrong, but you're in the right ballpark. So well done on that score. So yeah, look at that. £90 billion is what the UK consumers are expected to spend on festive goods. Now that, of course, will have a multiplier multiplier effect, won't it? So it could be a really positive thing for the UK economy. That amount of money going into retail and to supermarkets, for example, is going to have a positive effect in terms of extra employment, additional profits and so forth. If you want to talk about the negative externalities of consumption, that would be an interesting one, wouldn't it? How many of those gifts, how much of that £90 billion worth of gifts just gets put in a bin or doesn't get used? Well done with that first one. Let's have a go at question number 2 out of 3. UK spending on non-essential goods during the Christmas period 2022 is greater than 2021. So we're not talking about 2023 here. We're talking about 2022 compared to 2021. So what do you think there? Alfie's said something about inflation being nice and high. So Alfie, I'm not going to disagree with that. What impact would that have on the question in terms of it being true or false? That's what I'd like to know here. So what do you think? Do you think that spending on non-essential goods in 2022 was higher than it was in 2021? Sebastian thinks it's true. Joshua thinks it's true. Daniela thinks it's true. 2020, Toby says in 2021, I'll get my words out tonight, COVID was still going along, and so yes, there's an argument there for why it might be true. Shalia is saying about true because inflation was high. Well, actually, Shalia, you're on the right ballpark as well. It's false. Because of inflation. So spending was lower in 2022 than it was in 2021 in a real sense because of the impact of inflation and the fact that when people are trying to manage their budgets because of high levels of inflation, they're less likely to purchase things that are non-essential, such as toys and electrical goods. The question will be whether 2023 ends up being better. You'd expect it to be from the point of view that inflation is lower than it was in 2022. Although let's not forget, of course, inflation is still relatively high, even though it's lower than it was a year ago. And of course, the UK economy has seen a few negative statistics come out this year. So it'll be interesting to see what spending's like in 2023 compared to 2022. That'll come out, I'm sure, sometime in the new year. Last one of these true or false questions. Most real Christmas trees. This is a real fact question for you. There's no reason why you would know anything about the Christmas tree market. So it's about intelligent guesswork here. Most real Christmas trees used in UK households are imported. Is that true or is that false? Do we get our trees from abroad or do we get them mainly from the UK? Toby said true. Let's see what the responses are from anybody else. Sebastian thinks it's true as well. Are we importing most of our goods? Let's see if anybody else comes in. Most of our Christmas trees, I should say. When you think about Christmas trees, they don't feel a very British tree, do they? I know we do have obviously lots of evergreens in the UK. True strong pound means imports would be cheap. Let's have a look. That was Daniela. Thank you for that, Daniela. Let's have a look. It is now my answer has come up false here. And I just realised, looking at that, the answer should be true. If you put true down there, you're right. My answer is wrong, and you can see the statistics why. So Christmas trees are sold in the UK. About 10 million Christmas trees sold in the UK every year. Between 1 and 3 of those are imported. So the majority of Christmas trees in UK households are actually from the UK. So we actually should have it is false. I'm getting my answers all incorrect. They are not false at all. They are mainly British. That's a huge number, isn't it? It's a huge number. UK climate, of course, allows for growing that kind of evergreen tree. And also, if you think about it, actually importing a tree that's been cut and therefore is already in the process of dying away, they couldn't come from very far, could they? So we do get a lot from Norway, but the majority of Christmas trees are from the UK. Right, well done to those of you who had a go at that one. I'll hand back over to Penny for the next question.
Thanks very much, John. And now we're going for some secret Santa questions. Okay, so we're going to keep testing out your knowledge of the real world, with maybe some fairly random ideas here, but let's see what you can make of them. So we're going to ask you to guess, what am I? So I'm going to give you 3 clues, one up at a time. Here's the first one. I am the biggest selling toy of all time. Does that tell you enough? Can you guess what this is? If you, as soon as you think you've got an idea, type it into the chat window for us. And let's see, let's just have a wait for a moment, see if anybody at this stage thinks they can work out. Do they know what's the biggest selling toy of all time? Toby's saying Lego. Good guess, Toby. That's really, that's a sensible idea. It's not correct though, unfortunately. Joshua saying Barbie, maybe thinking about the Barbie film that came out this year and has made huge amounts at the box office, and is of course selling a lot of Barbie related toys this Christmas. But no, it's not that either. Okay, nice guesses. Let's have a look at the second clue, see if that helps. When it was first sold, it was found to have unsafe levels of lead. Does that help you? This is not sounding a good thing to give to somebody for Christmas, is it? Obviously, some negative externalities there, which the manufacturers obviously had no idea about. So, biggest selling toy of all time was found to have unsafe levels of lead. Does that help at all? Does anybody know that little fact? No? Okay. Hot Wheels, says Joshua. Again, that's a kind of intelligent guess. It isn't, but yeah, I can see where, how you came up with that idea. Play-Doh. No, again, really good idea. And Sheila says marbles. Again, some really good ideas coming through. You're not there yet. Let's see with the third clue if that helps. If that just... Okay, my inventor was Hungarian. Does that just tip the balance for any of you to give you the correct answer? Okay, so biggest selling toy of all time, unsafe levels of lead, which I'm sure they very quickly corrected once they'd realised. And then the inventor was Hungarian. Willie says Rubik's Cube. Well done. That's the answer. The correct answer is the Rubik's Cube. There you go. Well done. Okay. And Chakan came in with the same thing. Okay. So, yes, well done. It was actually introduced in 1974. The inventor, the Hungarian inventor, his name was Erno Rubik. He was a professor of architecture, and he was also a sculptor. So whether those sort of two combined bits of skill gave him the idea for creating the Rubik's Cube, I don't know, but that's where that came from. Great. Now we've got another example or another question like this for you. Okay, this event occurred on Christmas Day 1990, but what was it? Okay, so we're going back, 33 years or so now. So it was a method of communication. Anybody want to have a go, just based on that piece of information, about what this event might have been on Christmas Day 1990 as a method of communication? Any ideas coming in here? Radio, no. Radio actually would go back a lot further than that. Okay, occurred on Christmas Day. That was the first time, I should say, that it occurred. This thing that we're thinking of. Okay, first text message. No, good thinking, Johannes, but no, it's not that. Let's have a look at the next clue for you. Oh, we've got 2 clues that came up quickly. Okay, so there you go. You've got a bonus clue. So we now know it was a method of communication. It was created to allow scientists to share data, and was made, this communication, by Tim Berners-Lee. It's not Google. Internet, not exactly. Not exactly, Shalay. But again, you're on the right word. Chakan says World Wide Web. I think that's pretty close. Toby Harrington says facts. No, we did have facts before that. So let's have a look at the correct answer. And it is the first communication using the World Wide Web. So, I mean, this is extraordinary to think, isn't it? I know 33 years may seem a very long time to you, but it's not all that long ago that there was no sort of communication using the web before that. So Tim Berners-Lee, who was a British PhD, who was working as one of the researchers at CERN in Geneva, that's the particle physics laboratory in Geneva, and he came up with the idea that he could share documents so that scientists around the world globally could share documents using the World Wide Web, which of course didn't exist up to that point. He basically created it in order to share information amongst the researchers who were working on same scientific projects together. And look what happened since. Okay, great. Well done. I wonder how many you're up to. I think we've had about 12 or 13 questions so far. I wonder how many correct you have so far. Let's give you a bit of round 5 with the last few questions. So we've got the last few multiple choice questions. So on Christmas Eve, as we all know, Santa travels the whole globe. So we've got some development economics questions for. So the Human Development Index, which is abbreviated as HDI, consists of what? So what are the factors that are measured in order to calculate the Human Development Index? Have a look through those 4. Have a careful look. See what you think. Which of those gives you the correct mix of factors that are measured in order to create the Human Development Index? Okay, Sky comes in very quickly with A. Who would like to follow up? You may have different ideas. Daniela agrees, so does Shalea. Toby also agrees. So does CTO. Looks as if we're all going for A. Let's see if that's correct. And it is. Well done. Okay, so and now if you look through the others, the things which are different in B, for example, access to clear water, number of doctors per 1,000 of population. We've got infant mortality. We've got structure of industry, literacy rates. All of those might be used to assess the level of development in a particular economy. But the 3 factors which are used in the HDI are the 3 there in A. And bear in mind that what it is using specifically here is GNI per capita at PPP, not GDP. So, it's one of those sort of nuances. It's the measure that includes income earned abroad and sent home, and also net taxes at PPP. So it goes a little bit further. It's a bit more a detailed analysis of gross national income than mere GDP gives you. Okay, second one of these. Which of the following is a political and institutional obstacle to development? Is it tradition, lack of infrastructure, religion, culture? One of those we would select as a political and institutional obstacle to development. What do you think? So if you're thinking about one of the less economically developed countries, which one of those would be potentially the political and institutional obstacle? So lots of people, oh my goodness, so many answers coming in saying B. They're sort of flashing before my eyes. Okay, well done. Let's have a look. It is B. So B is the correct answer. The other 3 that we had there, of course, would be potentially obstacles to development, but they're not political and institutional ones. Okay, so if it could be that those other 3 maybe slow down the process of development in some way, but infrastructure or lack of infrastructure is the political and institutional one. Okay, and here comes your last question for this quiz. Which of the following is not an interventionist strategy to influence growth and development? Is it the managed exchange rate, buffer stock schemes, development of human capital, or privatization? Just one of those 4 is not an interventionist strategy to influence growth and development. What do you think? Toby, I think, is there first, or maybe Sky just beat him to it. So we've got D from those 2. Any other thoughts? Do you all agree on D? What do you think, others? Sebastian is going for the same answer. Okay, so I think we've got you all choosing the same answer. You're all choosing D. Let's see if that's the correct answer. And it is. So well done if you got that one. A, B, and C are all interventionist strategies to influence growth and development, whereas D is a market-based strategy. So it obviously is a government strategy. It's a government intervention of a sort, but its intention is to free up the market and make the market more open to growth and development to occur.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Penny. Listen, we've had lots of really good responses. We've set the little task of getting 17 correct tonight. I don't know how many people got close to 17. Looking at the answers coming in, I reckon most people are definitely into double figures, if not into 12, 13, 14. Some tough questions there, some tough questions. So although we put a bit of a Christmas spin on it, there was a lot of questions there that were trying to test your knowledge of economic terminology. So well done if you got those right. Brilliant stuff. It's been wonderful to see so many people putting some responses in tonight. If you found tonight useful, please do give us a thumbs up in YouTube, by the way. That helps get our message out there to everybody else. It's the end of the quiz, but just a quick reminder to you about a few things. First of all, this quiz is available to you as a PowerPoint. As soon as I press the finish button in 1 moment's time, you can have a look at it again. You can try it out in your classrooms if you would like to. We will be back early in the new year, where we start to get really serious when we're thinking about the upcoming exams for year 13 students. So that'll be the focus when we return in January for thinking about the paper 1, paper 2 and paper 3, no matter what your awarding body is. So that's going to come up very, very soon. Thank you if you've been a regular viewer and contributor to these live streams over this term. It's very much appreciated. And we're really grateful for the quality of some of your responses as well. Massive thank you from me to Penny for joining me and contributing tonight. It's always very much a welcome from me, Penny. Thank you for that.
My pleasure.
From Penny, from myself, from everybody at Tutor to You, we do hope that you have a lovely, restful Christmas. Get a little bit of R&R, a little bit of downtime for yourself, so that you can actually get your energy back and get yourself ready for the big push going into the new year. So from us both, goodbye and thanks again. Bye-bye.
Bye.